Ever drive past a construction site? You know the kind where it's just cranes and chaos, dust flying everywhere?
Yeah,
Looks
yeah.
kind of random,
Huh?
but someone out there is making sure every single beam, every bolt, it's all like perfectly in place.
Right, right.
That's what this deep dive is all about. Construction quality inspectors.
They're kind of invisible,
Hidden heroes,
Yeah, like you won't see them in those finished building photo shoots.
not getting their own hard hat modeling gig.
Exactly. But those buildings, they're standing tall because of the work these inspectors do. Safe, sound, made to last.
It's like imagine a giant jigsaw puzzle, but with huge EE consequences if you get a piece wrong.
And the heavy.
Oh, for sure. We're talking tons. RoleCatcher. That's where we found some really cool info for this, by the way.
My resource.
Totally. They break down what an inspector actually does day to day, and it's surprisingly varied. One minute you're checking welds on these massive steel beams. Next thing you know, you're taking concrete samples. Got to make sure it's strong enough.
Oh, yeah. It's not just checking things off a list either. It's crucial stuff.
I bet.
Like a bad weld, that could be the whole structure compromised right there.
Yikes.
And weak concrete. Let's just say you want that foundation solid.
Makes those caution. Construction zone signs seem a lot more serious now.
Yeah, you start to see buildings differently.
Every bridge you drive over, every building you walk into, someone was making sure it wouldn't just, well,
Come crumbling down.
exactly. And that's where it gets super technical, right? Like those steel beams. It's not just eyeballing it.
It's high tech, some of it. You've got your ultrasonic testing, for example, to check for flaws you can't even see.
Oh, so you need that traditional knowledge, but also,
Got to keep up with the times.
speaking of which, RoleCatcher mentioned some skills for moving up in this career. And I got to say, some of them surprised me. Like, okay, technical skills, obviously, but persuasion,
Ah, yes.
customer service on a construction site.
That's where the people side comes in, and people don't expect that.
So it's not just about knowing the codes and regulations.
You're dealing with people, too. Imagine telling a contractor, hey, gotta redo this wiring, and they're on a tight schedule, over budget.
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough conversation.
You have to be firm, but you have to be diplomatic. You gotta explain, look, we can't compromise on safety.
So you're part inspector, part negotiator, maybe part therapist for stressed out contractors.
Laughs, maybe a little bit of everything.
Okay, now I'm seeing why this career is more interesting than people think.
It's more than meets the eye, that's for sure.
It really is.
And that's just one example.
Yeah.
You might have to explain something complex to a worker who doesn't speak much English, or you end up mediating between different crews who are butting heads.
So you're like the construction diplomat?
Kind of. It's all about figuring out what makes people tick, finding that common ground. Because ultimately, everyone wants the same thing, right?
A job well done.
A quality project, everyone home safe at the end of the day.
Okay, so we've got the technical skills, the people skills. What else helps you climb that career ladder?
Well, RoleCatcher had a clear progression laid out, from entry level all the way up to lead inspector. And each step, well, you need a wider range of skills, you've got more responsibility.
More responsibility usually means.
Well, yeah, usually a nicer paycheck,
Who
too.
doesn't love that?
Yeah.
But let's back up before we get too ambitious. What about those just starting out? Entry-level construction quality inspector. What's that actually like?
Think of it as construction boot camp.
Boot camp. Intense.
You're learning the ropes from the more experienced inspectors, figuring out the building codes, all the regulations.
So much to learn.
Right. You're doing some basic inspections, but always with someone there to guide you. It's all about absorbing as much as you can.
And getting comfortable on a busy, chaotic site.
That's it.
Hopefully without any concrete spills on your new boots.
Ideally, yeah. Let's aim for a nice, clean learning experience. But really, that entry-level stage is crucial. It's where you build the foundation for your whole career.
So you've put in the time, learned from the best. What's next?
Junior construction quality inspector. Time to, actually start doing more on your own.
No more training wheels.
Kind of, yeah. You're doing more independent inspections, really getting into those blueprints. You're working more directly with the whole project team.
So less boot camp, more like leading a small squad.
Maybe not quite that dramatic, but definitely more responsibility, yeah.
What about the next step after that? Senior construction quality inspector, that's got to be a whole other level, right?
Now that's where the leadership comes in. You might be overseeing a whole team of inspectors, figuring out the specific quality control procedures for different projects, even training the new recruits.
Wow, so you need more than just knowing the technical stuff at that point.
Right. Communication, mentorship, those skills become really important.
It's like you're not just inspecting buildings anymore. You're building a team.
It's true. You're shaping how things are done, making sure those high standards are being met.
That's got to be rewarding.
It really is. Shows how this career, it's not just one straight path, you know? Lots of ways to grow, lots of different things you can end up specializing in.
And for those who, want to reach the top of the construction quality ladder, you've got the lead construction quality inspector. What does that even look like day to day?
Imagine walking onto a huge construction site, a skyscraper maybe, or one of those massive bridges. As the lead inspector, you are the authority on quality for that entire project.
No pressure.
You're overseeing all the inspections, reviewing designs, making sure everyone from the architects to the people actually doing the building, they're all on the same page, meeting the standards.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It's a high-impact role, definitely. You're responsible for how the whole thing turns out, from start to finish.
Makes you realize how much more goes into it than people think.
Absolutely. You have to understand not just the technical side, but all the logistics, the money side, even some of the legal stuff that comes with big projects.
So we've talked about the career path, but let's circle back to something you mentioned earlier. It's not just about being a technical expert in this field. RoleCatcher really emphasized that.
Oh, for sure. It's people skills, people skills, people skills.
Right. Like that example before with the contractor who did the wiring wrong.
Exactly. You can be right about the code violation, but if you can't communicate that effectively, if you can't build a good working relationship...
It's going to be a lot harder to get things done.
Exactly. And that's just one scenario. Imagine having to explain something technical to a worker who doesn't speak much English. Or maybe you've got two different crews who are at odds with each other.
You're like a counselor.
Sometimes. You've got to be able to listen to people, understand where they're coming from, find a way to move forward that works for everyone.
So it's about building trust as much as it is about inspecting concrete.
You got it. And as you move up in this career, those leadership and communication skills, they only become more important, especially when you're managing teams, mentoring the newer inspectors.
Because at the end of the day, you want everyone to take pride in their work.
That's it. And knowing that you played a part in making sure a building is safe, that it'll last, that's a good feeling.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about the future of this field for a bit. Things are changing quickly in the construction world, right?
Oh, big time. Technology is changing everything. We're talking 3D printed buildings, robots on job sites, things we used to see in sci-fi movies.
It's wild. But all that new tech, it brings new challenges for quality control, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You're not just inspecting a physical structure anymore, you're inspecting the technology behind it.
Right. You've got digital models, algorithms. It's a whole different ballgame.
Exactly. RoleCatcher talked about this thing called digital twin technology. Basically, it's a virtual copy of the building, and you use it for all sorts of things. Simulations, checking for energy efficiency, you name it.
So instead of walking around a construction site with your clipboard, you might be like flying through a 3D model on a computer.
Pretty much. You can spot potential problems before they even happen in the real world.
That's amazing.
And that's just one example. We've also got AI now, which can analyze things way faster and more accurately than humans can.
Like having a superpowered assistant looking over your shoulder.
Exactly. So the future of this job, it's about more than just keeping up with the changes. It's about figuring out how to use those changes to make construction even better, even safer.
That makes sense. You've really got to be comfortable with technology, with learning new things all the time.
It's a must. The inspectors of the future, they'll be just as comfortable with data and software as they are with a tape measure.
Whole new set of tools for a new era of construction. But even with all that, I'm guessing some things never change, right?
Definitely not. You still need that attention to detail, that commitment to making sure things are done right. And of course, you got to be able to work with people.
So, for anyone listening who likes the idea of blending those classic skills with cutting-edge technology, who wants to build the future, literally.
This could be the career for them. And the cool thing is, you don't have to figure it all out on your own.
Right. That's where RoleCatcher comes in again. They had some really useful information about how to explore this field, like what resources are out there.
They had a whole section on professional organizations, the American Society for Quality, the Construction Quality Management Association.
Okay, so those are good places to start.
Definitely. It's not just about putting it on your resume. They offer certifications, which can really boost your credibility. Plus, they have tons of training courses to keep your skills sharp.
So it's a way to keep learning, stay up to date on the latest and greatest in the field.
Exactly. Plus, you meet other people in the industry, share ideas. learn from each other's experiences. Networking is so valuable.
especially in a field that's changing as fast as construction. Having that support network, people who get the challenges and the rewards.
Makes all the difference. And if you're really serious about staying ahead of the curve, RoleCatcher also suggested checking out online communities and forums.
Online, so like virtual construction hangouts.
Kind of. It's where professionals from all over the world share their insights, debate the latest trends, figure out solutions to tough problems together.
It's like this whole global brain for construction quality, all these experts coming together online.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It really is. It's been fascinating to go this deep into the world of construction quality inspectors. We've covered a lot of ground here, from the really technical stuff to those all-important people skills, not to mention how technology is changing the game.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But at the end of the day, it seems like it comes down to something pretty simple, right? It's about taking pride in your work, knowing that what you do matters.
Absolutely. Every inspection, every decision you make, it goes towards creating buildings that are safe, that will
Yeah.
stand the test of time.
Buildings people can actually, live and work in without worrying about.
The roof caving in.
Exactly. And as construction gets even more high-tech, those skills are going to be even more important. Like you were talking about before, 3D printing.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be huge. And for quality control, it's a whole new challenge.
Because it's not just about the finished product anymore, right?
Nope. You're involved from the beginning. Checking the digital models, making sure the materials are up to snuff, the printing process itself. So much to oversee.
It's like you're not just inspecting, you're almost co-creating.
In a way, yeah. And it's only going to get more complex as buildings become smarter.
More sensors, more automation.
Right. RoleCatcher mentioned that the inspectors of the future will need to be as comfortable with those systems as they are with a blueprint.
Imagine, instead of checking for cracks in the foundation, you're checking for bugs in the building software.
That's a good way to put it. You're making sure all those systems are talking to each other, that the data is flowing properly, that everything is running smoothly.
And safely.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about safety.
Of course. That's always priority number one. But it's a whole new set of things to think about, for sure.
So it's not a career for someone who's stuck in their ways, that's for sure.
Nope, you got to be adaptable, always willing to learn something new.
But for the right person, someone who's excited about new technology, who wants to be on the cutting edge of construction.
It's an amazing opportunity. You get to help build the future, literally.
And for anyone listening who wants to learn more, remember, RoleCatcher is a great place to start. They've got tons of information about this career path, what it takes to succeed.
Definitely worth checking out.
Absolutely. Well, it's been fascinating to dive into this with you. Thanks for sharing your expertise.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about the world of construction and how important quality is to, well, everything.
Couldn't agree more. And everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of construction quality inspectors. Until next time, keep those hard hats handy and those minds curious.